Hey there movie fans, I'm Andersen and I just watched... I was never the biggest fan of the Fast and the Furious franchise. I remember watching the first 4 films and never being that into them. Yeah, there were hot girls and fast cars, but I essentially gave up on the franchise at that point, which obviously was the wrong move as that's when the franchise actually started to pick up. I watched Fast 5 and Fast and Furious 6 very late in the game, and I think I like the 6th a little bit more than the 5th one, which I know I'm in the minority of. Furious 7 wasn't as good as the previous 2, but I think it was the perfect send-off for the late Paul Walker, and would have been a great way to wrap up the franchise. However, like all successful franchise, an 8th film was inevitable, and going into this film I was a little weary of the ridiculous premise, but I was still willing to give it a shot. Dom has turned on his family, and now his team must find a way to get their leader back and stop their toughest challenge yet. The Fast and the Furious gives us everything we've come to expect from the franchise up to this point, with over-the-top action and adrenaline-induced car chases, but though the film has a similar runtime to Furious 7, it feels a lot longer as the pacing drags significantly in the first and second act, as there's a lot of setup going on, and though there's a lot of action on screen, there's a significant lack of stakes. However, by the third act, the film really comes into its own with a heavy dose of fan service that easily put a smile on my face, and the submarine sequence adds a lot more stakes that were missing in the first and second act. The entire cast of Furious 7 returns, bringing more of the same to the story, with the exception of Brian and Mia, which is addressed in a throwaway line, but I think it would have been less distracting if they just didn't mention those characters at all. Vin Diesel's Dom is the crux of the story and the franchise, but due to the circumstances in this film, he's forced to act very frustrated and angry, and it comes off as forced overacting, as his character works a lot better when he's cool and collected. Charlize Theron adds to the cast as our main villain, who plays the character very straight and menacing, but doesn't bring anything unique to her character, and given the type of film that we're in, I would have preferred to see her ham it up a little more. I almost forgot that Scott Eastwood is also in this film, and yet, unfortunately, another forgettable role. So in short, if you're a fan of the Fast and the Furious franchise, I think you'll really enjoy this film as well, especially when it comes to the third act, but it doesn't bring that much new to the table, and the pacing in the first 2 acts really bogs down the film. And that's why for me, The Fast and the Furious is just a good movie. So those are my thoughts on The Fast and the Furious. Do you agree, disagree? Let me know down in the comments below. And be sure to click right here to see my review from last weekend on Gifted, and click over here to see my latest series reviews on Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides, and Christopher Nolan's Insomnia. Also be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and check out my social media links down in the description below. Until next time, don't forget to watch the movies.